Welcome to Money Chat Now. I am your host, Larry Steinhouse, and we are brought to you by Investor Schooling. Hey, if you want to take a complimentary class and learn about investing, real estate investing, stock options investing, the stock market, money, whatever, go to investorschooling.com and you can learn about how to make more money. So today is Tuesday, August 17th, 2021. And the stock market was a little brutal today. We're going to be discussing how the fact that the Dow dropped almost 500 points today. It recovered a little bit, but dropped over 500 points today. We're going to be talking about how China stocks got crushed, retail stocks disappointed, and we want to know if Facebook is a monopoly. Hey, if they're going to put me in Facebook jail, I want to know if they're the only ones that are going to put me in Facebook jail or if everyone else is going to put me in Facebook jail. Let's talk about Google hardware and how they're coming out with some new hardware. We'll talk about the home builder sentiment falling, and of course some of my favorite stock picks, and we'll be talking about that in a little while. So all right, let's talk about this right away. The Dow dropped. Now, so you need to understand that the Dow, at one point the Dow was down over 500 points, but it actually ended minus 282, which is good. It actually, when the Dow's down 500 points, it has a psychological effect on people who are investing in the stock market. But it was only down 1% at one point. In fact, it only closed down 0.8%. So it's not that big of a deal when you think about the numbers, the actual numbers. It's not really that big deal. The NASDAQ also dropped about 1%, and the S&P, same thing, about 0.7%. Now, I had actually at first expected to see that, we were going to probably hit one of those crazy days where it drops about 800 points, 1,000 points, and then in the morning tomorrow, it drops a little bit more and then it recovers. It may or may not happen. We may have a little bit of a drop tomorrow. We may not have a little bit of a drop tomorrow. But I think this was due. I actually think that the Dow dropping a little bit and the S&P and NASDAQ dropping a little bit were due. We hit records 5 days in a row. I mean, it's enough already. It happens. People start taking profits and start to get worried. We talk about something called the steak and tuna theory in investor schooling, and it's all about support and resistance. And it gets to the point where people get a little nervous. They've got their money. They want to keep their money. So they sell off. And I don't think it was a major sell-off. I think it was just a little minor, hey, let me take a little bit of profit and before anything bad happens, especially with some of the news right now. You got the Taliban invading Afghanistan. What could happen? I mean, a lot of things could happen, but maybe it'll be peaceful, sorta, not horrible, because it seems to be going pretty peaceful. But again, it is what it is. We'll have to see. I'm a little concerned about it, but I'm not very concerned about it. I actually think the market will probably recover and continue to go on an up cycle. However, we need these days. These days remind us that we have good buying days. So China stocks got hit pretty bad. And, we talked about the China economy. We talked about the fact that the China economy didn't do as great as it was supposed to do yesterday. That was one of the highlights of the news yesterday, was that the China economy just didn't do as great as it normally did. But let's talk about this, right? So first of all, Tencent Music shares dropped roughly 13%, man, after the online music entertainment platform missed on second quarter revenue expectations. Now listen to this, right? The company reported revenue of $8.01 billion compared to $8.13 billion that the analysts expected. I don't think that deserves a 13% drop. Yeah, maybe a drop, but not a 13% drop. So to me, there's obviously some other things going on. We saw Alibaba get crushed today, almost 10 points down. Ugh, that's terrible, especially when I've got a lot of it. So I was a little nervous about that. We saw NIO go down today too. And basically what's happening in China is there's all kinds of regulations and user privacy issues. We also talked about the fact that I mentioned it yesterday and again earlier that the Chinese didn't do as well in their recovery. But you also need to understand that China had some flooding and rainfall, and they also were comparing year over year. So they compared from last year to this year. Now remember, last year was different than this year, of course. I don't know. I actually think that we're going to start to see China starting to recover pretty quickly, and I actually still believe that these are good plays. Now, I'm not happy with my play in Alibaba. When you take a look at BABA, if you want to even pull up the chart, we can take a look real quick. I was going to talk about it later, but if you look at it now, it's at 173. Almost, just under 174. It's like, oh my goodness, this is horrible. And when you look at a stock like this, you know that a stock like this should not be this low. It just shouldn't. So hopefully it'll recover. Hopefully I won't have a problem. Hopefully if you're in it, you won't have a problem either. But it's going to be a nail biter. There's no doubt in my mind it's going to be a nail biter, especially when we're at a 52-week low once again. Also, if you want to look at Tencent, not to look at the chart, but Tencent will also do the same thing, and I would be weary of what's happening with that. All right, of course, we also have to talk about retail stocks disappointing. Now, I don't understand this, right? So we go into this and we see Home Depot. Home Depot shares dropped more than 4% after reporting second quarter results. The comparable store-to-store sales fell short of forecast. However, it rose 4.5% compared to consensus estimate of 5%. It's not that bad. Home Depot earned 4.53% per share, 9 cents a share above estimates, and revenue also topped forecasts. So why does Home Depot drop after this? It's very simple. Home Depot drops after this because people are getting scared that now that we have this pent-up demand that's no longer a pent-up demand because the world reopened, it's not that big of a deal anymore. So now we can go leisurely into Home Depot like we used to do before. We don't have to worry about it. We don't have to line up and go, hey, I better get my building materials now before my building materials run out. And that's what's going on over there. Now, what also happened is retail sales are apparently slowing down. So retail sales declined 1.1% in July, which was worse than expected drop of 0.3%. This is probably what caused the beginning of the stock market drop earlier this morning. But I guess once again, the money managers in the market are not that worried about it. They're thinking, hey, this is not going to last that long. The other thing was motor vehicle and parts dealers led the decline along with closing and sporting goods stores. Gasoline sales and eating and drinking establishments saw the biggest gains. So if you own a restaurant or if you own a gasoline, a gas station, you did pretty well. Although retail sales fell in July, the outlook for consumer spending remains positive, says Gus Foucher, chief U.S. economist at PNC. However, spending growth will shift from goods to services over the next couple of years, limiting growth on most categories of retail sales. Now, this is true. It is going to go from goods to services, and I'll give you a really great example. I think I even mentioned it yesterday. Is the fact that self-driving cars, you're not going to need to own one anymore. You're just going to call one. It's going to show up. But you can take your app out. You're going to say, send me a car. Tesla's going to send you a car in front of your house. You're going to get in the car. It's going to drive you wherever you need to go, and it's going to pick somebody up, and then it's going to pick you up on the way home. That's basically what services are. So nobody's going to buy cars anymore. But that's what they're talking about. But this is not going to happen for a while. So I don't think that you need to worry about it. But it's definitely going to happen, and some retail sales are going to change. Now, the other thing too that changed is people's retail buying habits. Most people are buying online right now. I know for one, I don't even want to go to a store anymore. I just go online. I don't care. My instant gratification is that I place the order instead of that I have the item. Most of the monthly decline came from motor vehicles. We talked about that, right? And basically, the other problem once again is COVID. Now, if you remember, it's not as bad as you think because Target was up 48% since year to date. Costco is up 19% year to date. Walmart is only up 4%. I still think Walmart is a play, even though Walmart didn't do that great today. Kohl's is up 35%, Macy's up 70%, and Nordstrom up 17%. We need to decide whether COVID is going to be a problem. Hey, let's take a quick commercial break, and we'll see you in a minute.
Okay, so you've thought about investing in real estate, houses, apartment buildings, properties, but don't really know where to start? Well, what if you could very easily learn how to gain strategies to use other people's money to buy and sell houses in the Philadelphia area? If you could learn and network with successful area real estate investors and how to produce monthly income on rental properties without headaches, that place is Investor Schooling. With Investor Schooling, you'll learn from 2 Philadelphia area rockstar real estate investors, Phil Falcone and Larry Steinhouse, about how to buy and sell properties the easy way and teach you basic and advanced techniques to help you make money in real estate. You can attend Investor Schooling in person or online visual classes 8 times a month. You can and will learn how to make money in real estate. Call for free information and get a complimentary pass to one of these classes. But don't delay, as these complimentary passes are limited. Call the number on your screen now or visit investorschooling.com. investorschooling.com.
All right, welcome back to Money Chat Now. I am your host, Larry Steinhouse, and we were talking about the fact that the Dow dropped about 500 points at one point today, but it came back a little bit to only drop down 280 points, still bad. We talked about the fact that China's stocks were getting crushed, including one of my plays, which is Alibaba. We talked about the fact that retail stocks have disappointed, and that's probably what caused a little bit of the Dow falling down today. Let's talk about Facebook. Is Facebook a monopoly? Yeah, okay. Is Facebook a monopoly? So first of all, the Federal Trade Commission has a second chance to prove to a federal judge that Facebook has illegally maintained a monopoly. The agency has until Thursday to file an amended complaint after a judge threw out its initial claims. So the FTC has a couple of options. How to proceed. Besides choosing to file an amended complaint, it could decide to drop the matter altogether, or it could bring the case before its internal administrative law judge instead. So let's talk about a monopoly and what it really is. Now, first of all, Monopoly is one of my favorite games, so I kind of like monopolies, but that's not exactly what we're talking about. What we're talking about is federal antitrust laws. And federal antitrust laws talk about many different things, and one of them talks about monopolies being illegal if they're established or maintained through improper conduct, such as exclusionary or predatory acts. This is known as anti-competitive monopolization. So they basically have conspired against you, or conspired against us, is what a monopoly would be. Not necessarily Facebook, although I'm going to talk about that in a minute. And they've said, hey, you can't do business with us, or we don't want your business, or we're going to charge exorbitant amounts of money because we can do that because we have the monopoly. We have the only way for you to get to us is for us to say, yes, you can be with us. Frankly, I think that Facebook is a monopoly in many different ways. Now, there's another thing that's a monopoly, which is unfair competition, and an attempt to gain unfair competitive advantage through false, fraudulent, or unethical commercial content. Also, group boycotts. Two or more competitors agree to not do business with a specific person or company. I wonder if there's a specific person out there that all of these social media companies have decided not to do business with it. Oh, I remember that guy. He was president last year. That, to me, is a serious violation of what this would be as a group boycott. Now, they could say that Trump or anyone, or even me, have violated their rules. Now, I'll tell you something else. I'm in Facebook jail, and it's very difficult for me to get my show out because I'm in Facebook jail. So that affects my ability to earn a living. Now, it really doesn't, but it could if I was getting paid for this show, of course, right? So that's a problem too. And you have to understand that if they have all ganged up together and group boycotted Trump, in this case, or anyone else, frankly, then that is a monopoly. Now, I personally don't understand why this not more being done to solve this problem. Anyway, if you want to find out more about monopolies, I suggest you looking up, because it's phenomenal to find out what actually the antitrust laws. You can find out what the antitrust laws are. There's the Sherman Act, the Clayton Act, the FTC Act, and the Robinson-Patman Act. These are all different ways that a company can be accused of antitrust laws. And I am a firm believer. When I see the way Facebook behaves, I absolutely believe that they are offending antitrust laws. And only time will tell. Obviously, I'm just too small. I can't sue Facebook. But if you want to help me sue Facebook, let me know, because I'd be more than happy to put together a class action lawsuit that will probably go on for the next 25 years and long after it matters. But that's the way it'll be. All right, let's get into the next topic. Let's talk about Google's hardware. So Google, so you guys know, like Facebook even has hardware, by the way. They have I forgot what it was called, but it was some screen or something. I forgot what it's called. But they also have the glasses. I forgot what they are too. The 3D glasses. Anyway, but Google has been getting into the hardware business. They have things like They have things like first of all, they acquired Fitbit, right? They have cameras. They have the Pixel 6 and the Pixel 6 Pro, and those are two high-end phones that'll launch in the fall, and they'll use the new Google Tensor chip instead of one made by Qualcomm. So basically, Google is making their own chips now, and that's part of what Google's trying to do. They're trying to expand their hardware. So think about Apple, right? So Apple has all these services, and I tell you this over and over again. Apple never has to sell another iPhone ever again, and they will still be a trillion-dollar company, no problem, because all of their services that they have. But obviously they have hardware, and Google wants to jump in and try to become part of that. Now, they also have Nest products, so it's not like Google's not doing this already, but they're just trying to expand on it. And of course, you should look for that Pixel phone coming up this fall. The other thing that's pretty important right now is home builder sentiment falls. Now, I love it. You know, this is a sensationalized headline, and I sensationalized it purposely. Just like the article I took the article from, or the information from, right? Home builder sentiment falls. Sentiment among single-family home builders dropped 5 points to 75 in August on the National Association of Home Builders Wells Fargo Housing Market Index. Sales expectations in the next 6 months were unchanged at 81. So first of all, anything above 50 is considered positive. But that's the lowest rating since July 2020. In other words, 75 is the lowest rating since July 2020, and the index stood at 78 last August. It dropped 3 points since last August. Why does it say? It's like, okay, big deal. It's not that big of a deal. Anyway, some of the problem here is, so lumber prices are showing improvement, but the price and available of other building materials remain a challenge. These materials, including flooring, drywall, appliances, and windows, said the National Association of Home Builders chief economist, Robert Diaz. Aggregate residential construction material pricing rose 13% in the first 6 months of 2021. That is part of the problem, and housing prices, new building housing prices are going up. So if you go to buy a house, if you're going to buy a new house, you're going to find sticker shock. First of all, if you find any house out there, there's sticker shock too. There's very few houses out there that aren't moving right away, although it is slowing a little bit. Now, I've seen it as a real estate investor. I've seen it. I've seen the numbers changing slightly, and you need to watch this, and you'll actually see that prices are going to start to settle down. They're not necessarily going down. That may be a year or two from now, but right now they're not going down. They're just kind of settling. So real quick, I'm going to tell you what's going to come up right now. So we're going to be giving away Phil's car. Take a look at this commercial. You'll be talking about how we're going to be giving away Phil's car. Phil Falcone has a beautiful Z4, and it could be yours. Check it out.
Hey, if you were listening to Investor Schooling Live today, I'm Phil Falcone, and I made the decision today on air that I'm going to be giving away this car. You want to take a look at it? Let's do it. How would you like to pop your top without ever getting out of the car? Huh? It's pretty cool. You can do it at a red light. You can do it when you see it rainy. You can actually even do it when you're driving, as long as you don't go maybe faster than 10 miles an hour. So I am giving away this car. Why? Is it because I'm crazy? Is it because I'm rich? Is it because of both? Take your pick. I don't care. Let me tell you about the car. We're going to have a contest. We're looking for real estate investors to go to our website and give us a real estate tip. And you can have people that you know vote on the site about which real estate tip is the most quality, most valuable to them. So let's just say that our contest is going to be looking for quality real estate tips and for votes. So you need to get your friends, your family, people who care about you, and real estate investors who are willing to go on the site and vote for it. And I will give you this car.
All right, welcome back to Money Chat Now. I am your host, Larry Steinhouse, and across my screen just now was news that I'm ready to kill somebody. Okay, not quite. But that president of ours just extended the mask mandates for airplanes and other travel through January. We'll have to do some more talking about that tomorrow. But let's talk a little bit about some of my picks. First of all, Apple continues to be the play. I'm telling you right now, Apple. Apple's going to ride. It's going to ride back up. It's going to ride up to 160. Then you're going to decide what you want to do with it at that point, but it's definitely going to ride up to 160. Robinhood is another good play. I like the Robinhood play. It's one of those plays where where it's just going to happen. Now, most likely what's going to happen, it might even fall back a little bit. I think I have a buy set at 40 in case it happens. But at the same time, Robinhood's definitely going to be a play. I like it. Go for it. There's nothing wrong with it. Coinbase is another good play. Now, I'm actually looking, and I might be stretching a little bit, but I'm looking for Coinbase to hit 230 before I jump in. Now, it's down at 250 today, which makes me happy, but if it hits 230, I'm definitely going to jump in on that play. I also like the idea of both Coinbase and Robinhood for covered call plays. Those are going to be both great covered call plays. Alibaba, oh my goodness. Alibaba dropped another 10 points today, which is really bothering me. It's, it's one of those plays where, I can't believe that this thing keeps dropping. But, sure enough, that's what's happening. You get bad news, and you get bad news, and you get bad news, and you get bad news. Of course, as you know before, I've talked about AAL, CCL, RCL. Those are all my plays coming up. Now, I'm going to actually imagine that most likely AAL is now going to drop because of what I just said about, our beautiful, wonderful president telling us we have to wear masks some more. I like Twitter. I think Twitter is a great play, and mRNA, I let it fall first. All right. I want to thank you for watching Money Chat Now. By the way, from time to time, I own some of the assets and options discussed on this show. The opinions discussed on this show are solely mine, and no one has asked me to discuss them. I want to thank you again for watching Money Chat Now. We look forward to your continued support. Please like and share and subscribe. Hopefully, we'll talk to you soon.